I will be reducing the extent of the public life I've led so far. My first priority will continue to be our children, William and Harry.
A stunning development has left King Charles utterly shattered as fresh details regarding the trust fund of Princess Diana come to light. Insiders claim the overseers have verified an arrangement that designates the immediate lineage of Prince William as the sole chief inheritors, a revelation that has sent tremors throughout the monarchy. Even though official palace channels have opted for silence, the consequences of this disclosure are sparking intense arguments behind closed doors. This news painfully revives intimate vulnerabilities for Charles, directly linked to the heritage of Diana and what lies ahead for the crown. Yet, what insights does this choice offer regarding the distribution of authority within the monarchy, and whose hands will ultimately guide her enduring impact? What is your perspective on this? Does this setup seem equitable to you, or is it a mask for a more profound palace tactic? Share your opinions down in the comments section. If you want to support us in producing future content and unraveling ongoing royal controversies, make sure to hit that subscribe button. The veil has been lifted on Princess Diana's long-dormant financial trust. For many years, this monetary arrangement remained completely obscured from the public eye, resembling a hidden footnote in the financial chronicles of the crown. It quietly endured in the background while the royal household weathered monumental shifts ranging from high-profile controversies and marriages to passings, investitures, and the emergence of a fresh lineage. Outside observers rarely anticipated that this specific estate would ever regain relevance or stir up fresh friction. Yet, recent leaks indicate that those managing the fund have revisited certain terms of the pact during an assessment aimed at securing the long-term endurance of the throne. What was initially treated as a mundane piece of legal paperwork has rapidly evolved into a gravity-defying dilemma. This unexpected turn of events has triggered widespread speculation among palace commentators, breeding an atmosphere of profound unease regarding what subsequent examinations might expose. To some observers, it appears as though a long-sealed volume of Diana's history is being turned page by page once more. The mere notion that a matter kept strictly confidential for so long could suddenly re-enter public discourse has caught even veteran royal experts off guard. Advocates maintain that the fund's primary objective was always to safeguard the late princess's intentions and guarantee the well-being of her offspring. Conversely, skeptics suspect that the ongoing reassessment might yield entirely new ways of implementing those original desires. With deliberations ongoing, the path forward remains highly ambiguous, drawing the watchful eyes of many who demand clarity but are left waiting for an official statement. Certain palace sources paint a picture of an environment that is hushed yet thick with anticipation regarding the next steps of the administrators. Every minor update manages to ignite massive waves of conversations across media networks and public forums, proving just how volatile this subject remains. Hovering over the entire situation is the unyielding shadow of Diana, whose power still molds public perception of the crown decades after her tragic passing. This sudden spotlight has bred both fascination and doubt about upcoming events. Whether this leads to concrete structural changes or fizzles out as a standard bureaucratic exercise is yet to be determined. For the time being, global attention remains locked on the trustees as onlookers look forward to disclosures that might offer clarity in the coming days. The final outcome could subtly alter how the late princess's impact is perceived both within the royal household and across the globe, leaving many to wonder about the hidden motives behind this timing. Within the palace walls, where this narrative continues to progress at a measured pace, a sense of unpredictability still shrouds what the ultimate reality will mean for the audience. A startling update from the fiduciaries has unsealed a hidden clause buried deep within the paperwork. But what exactly does this hidden provision entail? Could she have deliberately sought to shield her boys against all odds, even after her own departure? If that is the case, what mechanisms did she establish to achieve it? Let us dive into these astonishing specifics. Unlocking the private estate of Princess Diana. According to whispers circulating within the royal corridors, this specific trust encompasses far more than mere wealth and ancestral heirlooms. It is highly suspected that alongside the monetary provisions, there exist meticulous directives focused on a much grander scale, the preservation of the direct bloodline and the future sequence of the throne. To put it another way, the document is believed to outline how Diana intended for her own lineage to be shielded and propelled into the future. Rumors indicate that legal consultants who recently scrutinized the files stumbled upon specific stipulations that immediately demanded attention. These segments apparently transcend ordinary estate distribution. Instead, they seem to embody deeply personal motives connected to the long-term journey of Diana's sons and their standing within the dynasty. Although the palace has offered no formal validation, these assertions have already ignited fierce curiosity and debate among royal enthusiasts. What was anticipated to be nothing more than a standard administrative review of an old inheritance has taken on a far weightier significance. The dialogue has veered away from mere assets and legal formalities, pivoting instead toward profound queries regarding familial heritage, sovereign power, and enduring control. Individuals close to the matter describe the current mood as intensely cautious and fragile, given that every minor clause carries far more significance than anyone predicted. To certain analysts, these rumored findings bring back unresolved debates concerning what Diana truly desired for her children and how she envisioned their ultimate roles within the monarchy. Others view the situation as a stark reminder of the intricate nature of royal inheritances, particularly when they involve a figure as globally impactful as Diana. In such documents, even the most minor phrasing can be decoded in countless ways depending on one's viewpoint. What initially seemed like a routine legal formality has now expanded into a much larger, highly sensitive controversy. Debates regarding legitimacy, heritage rights, and the future trajectory of the House of Windsor are now happening out in the open. The prospect that a confidential estate could dictate elements directly tied to the royal succession has introduced fresh friction, transforming a long-dormant family matter into a heavily scrutinized and emotionally intense saga. For the moment, a vast portion of this remains unverified and clouded by hearsay, yet public fascination shows no signs of slowing down. The more information that surfaces, the more questions multiply regarding the actual text written within the document and its consequences for future generations. This discovery mirrored Diana's intimate hopes for her descendants' place within the crown. But does this specific mandate leave any path open for modifications by the reigning king? Or was it rigidly crafted to preserve Diana's objectives within the sovereign system? If so, what does this reveal about the enduring weight of Diana's authority within the palace? Let us find out. The enduring imprint of Diana's authority. For King Charles III, this unfolding scenario has reportedly stirred up intense sentiment. Even though he occupies the supreme seat of the monarchy, he is allegedly confronting the reality that elements of Princess Diana's heritage operate entirely outside his governance. Word from inside suggests that this administrative audit has reawakened historical grievances within the palace, serving as a blunt reminder to officials that Diana's footprint in royal history has never truly faded. Approaching 3 decades since her departure, her power continues to reverberate through public sentiment and royal choices in both overt and subtle manners. Some insiders argue that this concentrated focus on her estate has once more highlighted the way Diana's memory continues to frame conversations about the future path of the crown. Despite the official wall of silence, her name commands immense emotional gravity within the institution, particularly when topics of succession and legacy arise. This predicament underscores an undeniable reality: Diana's position in the royal narrative belongs not just to history, but actively shapes contemporary dialogues both inside and outside the palace walls. For King Charles, this has reportedly prompted deep introspection as he attempts to balance his sovereign obligations with the emotional weight of Diana's permanent legacy. While no public declarations have validated any official conflict or alteration just yet, the ongoing commentary continues to captivate the media and royal observers alike. Many maintain that this sudden fascination with Diana's trust revolves less around monetary wealth and more around symbolism, remembrance, and the overarching evolution of the crown itself. In private conversations, some royal analysts note that it underscores how her presence continues to steer the narrative long after her life ended, frequently in completely unforeseen ways. Whether interpreted as a mere coincidence or an intentional framework, this estate audit has once again pushed Diana to the forefront of royal dialogue, illustrating how tightly her memory is bound to what lies ahead for the House of Windsor. As the narrative progresses, many are left speculating how this concentrated focus on Diana's estate will ultimately shape the royal unit moving forward, particularly regarding internal cohesion and heritage planning. What remains up in the air is whether this will pass as a simple legal assessment or if it will quietly redefine how future generations view Diana's impact. The public eagerly awaits insights and transparency from the palace in the near future. King Charles is reportedly heartbroken over his lack of authority regarding Diana's final wishes, suggesting that her power remains very much alive within the royal system. But who exactly was briefed on this situation? Could the overseers of Diana's assets have intentionally paused until this specific moment to deliver the news? And can he safeguard Diana's intentions? Let us unravel these captivating details. An allegation of familial partiality. Among the most startling assertions emerging from royal insiders is the claim that Prince William was made aware of the estate assessment before multiple high-ranking palace officials were even briefed. This particular detail instantly ignited intense curiosity and quiet apprehension within royal networks. Based on these accounts, the sequence of this disclosure prompted serious inquiries regarding the internal communication protocols of the royal apparatus. Rumors indicate that Prince William was contacted via Kensington Palace networks before several of King Charles's primary counselors were given word. This irregular sequence has reportedly triggered weeks of friction and intense speculation within the royal household. Many are now questioning whether Diana's trust was intentionally drafted to afford unique safeguards to William's lineage above all others, sparking quiet doubts about hidden priorities, favoritism, and the true motives underlying its configuration. On the whole, numerous commentators have debated whether this sequence of events was meticulously engineered or merely the byproduct of a clerical oversight within the intricate legal frameworks governing royal properties. When dealing with matters of inheritance, dynastic succession, and historical legacy, even a minor alteration in communication channels can appear monumental and ignite endless theories. Some sources close to the family argue that the sequence of notification held no hidden agenda whatsoever, serving merely as a reflection of standard internal workflows within the royal staff. Simultaneously, defenders of Prince William point out that his early notification was most likely tied directly to his specific standing within the hierarchy, rather than any backroom effort to manipulate choices or alter the final results. Doubts continue to multiply regarding the chronology of these actions, drawing fierce scrutiny from journalists and royal analysts who demand transparent explanations about how such confidential information was dispersed and who took precedence in the information chain. Though no official validation has been offered, the matter remains a central topic of discussion and observation. As theories multiply, certain commentators wonder if Diana's trust was established with far more strategic intentions, potentially shifting the future distribution of authority and control within the House of Windsor. What started as a confidential legal audit has rapidly transformed into a global headline that the public simply cannot pass over, proving how effortlessly private dialogues pivot into worldwide fascination whenever Princess Diana's name is invoked. At present, many eyes are fixed on the situation, waiting for transparent answers regarding this audit and its potential long-term effects on royal succession and internal family dynamics. Prince William became aware of the trust assessment well ahead of multiple senior palace officials. But what exact message is Diana sending to her son through this revelation by the trustees? Could she have harbored deep anxieties regarding the future of her boys? If so, what strategies did she implement to ease their paths ahead? Let us uncover the truth. The hidden intuition of Princess Diana. Royal analysts have long argued that Princess Diana harbored intense anxieties regarding the destiny of the crown and the silent rivalries that might manifest within its ranks. Following her separation from King Charles, reports indicate she became single-mindedly devoted to one paramount objective: safeguarding the future of her two boys, Prince William and Prince Harry. According to these viewpoints, Diana's calculations extended far beyond routine inheritance or material assets. Instead, some believe she deliberately anticipated how future royal friction, shifting factions within the palace walls, and potential domestic rifts could impact her children as they matured. Her choices, when viewed through the lens of estate dialogues, are frequently interpreted as an intentional strategy to establish permanent security for her sons, with a particular emphasis on William and his subsequent descendants. Certain insiders claim that elements of her property planning might mirror an explicit intent to insulate William's household from potential volatility within the sovereign framework. This encompasses anxieties regarding fluctuating allegiances, internal friction, and conflicts that occasionally surface within powerful dynasties like the monarchy. Whether these motives were explicitly penned or merely implied through sophisticated legal engineering remains unconfirmed. Nevertheless, numerous royal enthusiasts maintain that the configuration of Diana's trust points to something far greater than mere financial management. Instead, they view it as the calculated steps of a mother gazing far beyond her own lifespan, attempting to anchor stability and security for her boys in an environment she recognized as highly volatile. Some argue that Diana exhibited profound psychological perception and meticulous foresight in her choices, anticipating the unique pressures, rivalries, and relentless media exposure her sons would navigate within the institution. From this perspective, she sought to shield them from impending conflicts to the absolute best of her ability. On the other hand, skeptics urge caution, noting that a large portion of this analysis relies heavily on conjecture rather than verified facts, leaving ample room for disagreement regarding her actual motives. Even so, the conviction persists that Diana's estate was never just about money or real estate, it was about legacy, preservation, and generational security. It continues to ignite intense debates about how she might have viewed the evolution of the monarchy and the roles her children would occupy within it. And even to this day, many are left speculating how much of that original blueprint quietly dictates modern royal dynamics behind closed doors, long after her life came to an end. It is widely suspected that Diana's choices were motivated by intense anxiety over impending power struggles within the palace. But could her master plan be executed by her sons alone? Or would her grandchildren also have a part to play in guaranteeing this continuity? Now, let us explore this emotional heritage. A fresh era of dynastic endurance. As dialogues surrounding inheritance, immediate heirs, and permanent familial security began to re-emerge, public curiosity gradually focused on the offspring of Prince William. Based on a variety of rumors and analyses, some commentators believe the trust dictates a clear emphasis on insulating the future of William's direct heirs. Over time, this concept has blossomed into a widespread public belief that every single one of William's children represents a breathing continuation of Princess Diana's heritage, keeping her memory vibrant through their actions, charisma, and the profound emotional bond they foster with the public. Within these viewpoints, Prince George is frequently framed as a pillar of continuity, representing the future endurance of the crown. Princess Charlotte is regularly paired with Diana's famous compassion, magnetism, and innate talent for bonding with everyday citizens. Meanwhile, Prince Louis is often depicted as embodying the lightheartedness and unscripted charisma that the public once adored in Diana. These three siblings are increasingly viewed as a living mirror of Diana's impact. Each one holds a distinct fragment of her warmth, character, and authority, keeping her memory subtly woven into the contemporary royal narrative. This story continues to capture attention because it fuses sentiment, memory, and the public's permanent fixation on Princess Diana's life and legacy. Consequently, her presence is frequently invoked during deliberations about the future trajectory of the royal household, particularly when it touches upon her grandchildren. In this manner, the dialogue regarding her estate and heritage remains incredibly vibrant, shifting with every fresh assertion and analysis that surfaces over time. Across numerous media platforms, Diana's grandchildren are routinely celebrated as living emblems of her enduring legacy. This perspective has quietly molded public opinion, causing people to view the youngest royals not merely as title holders, but as emotional bridges to Diana's memory, life path, and enduring footprint. The saga of Diana continues to shape how the public views the contemporary royal family. Extending far beyond mere history, it speaks directly to identity, obligation, and the intense psychological burden of navigating life under a permanent public lens. Her heritage still guides how duty and private hardships are perceived within the royal spotlight today. In the end, the dialogue remains entirely open, leaving many to wonder exactly how much of Diana's envisioned goals continue to shape public ideas of the monarchy's path today and in the decades yet to unfold. Beyond evaluating William's descendants, whose father stands as the immediate heir to the crown in Diana's grand strategy, who did Diana trust to manage and execute her final wishes under the framework of her estate? What was their personal connection to her? And did they truly deserve that profound responsibility? Now, let us unmask the managers operating behind the scenes of Princess Diana's trust fund structure. One particular element that frequently arises when commentators dissect Princess Diana's estate is the identity of the individuals chosen to administer it. According to widely circulated accounts, this obligation was deliberately kept away from royal organizations and palace staff. Instead, it was placed squarely in the hands of Diana's immediate blood relatives. The designated managers and trustees were her mother, Frances Ruthshan Kidd, alongside her sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale. This specific detail is noteworthy because it completely detaches the estate from the immediate authority of the royal household. King Charles, top-ranking palace councillors, and other formal royal branches were granted no authority over its administration. Instead, it stayed strictly within Diana's personal ancestral circle, completely separate from the frameworks that traditionally oversee royal properties and wealth. To many royal analysts, this structural division is loaded with meaning. It implies that Diana likely desired her confidential intentions to be executed by individuals she trusted completely on a personal level, rather than by the state apparatus she had joined through marriage. From their perspective, this setup was likely engineered to guarantee that choices regarding her wealth align closely with her own core beliefs and family insights. Owing to this specific blueprint, certain analysts maintain that the trust successfully preserved a degree of autonomy from palace pressure across the years. They assert that keeping administrative authority within her own family line helped shield the original goals of her financial strategy, even as time marched on and the monarchy underwent significant structural evolutions. Concurrently, others suggest that this arrangement might simply echo conventional estate planning methods, where dependable relatives are routinely selected as executors. However, in the context of Diana, this choice naturally commands far greater public curiosity due to her extraordinary standing within the dynasty and the global fixation on her legacy. Still, the reality remains that her mother and sister were the specific individuals granted this monumental task, a reality that continues to frame how the trust is viewed today. For a vast audience, it introduces another dimension to the chronicle of Diana's journey and heritage, cementing the theory that she wanted her immediate family to remain at the core of her personal matters long after her passing. Consequently, analyses of her trust consistently return to this pivotal detail, as it clarifies why the setup is viewed by many as both profoundly personal and meticulously shielded within her own maternal line rather than the sovereign institution itself. Diana reportedly selected her mother and sister to manage the implementation of her wishes, completely bypassed any direct control from King Charles. But would this choice be universally welcomed within royal factions? Or could it instead ignite internal friction within the palace? If so, what hurdles might it present for those working inside the palace? Let us unmask the facts. Escalating friction between competing palace camps. What commenced as an unpublicized legal assessment of Princess Diana's trust fund has reportedly ballooned into intensifying friction within the royal household. According to insiders, the environment progressively grew more delicate as deliberations regarding Diana's legacy and Prince William's household took center stage, quietly generating anxiety, questions, and discomfort among palace circles. Certain sources allege that allies of Queen Camilla felt increasingly sidelined during these dialogues, as the spotlight seemed to drift heavily toward Diana's branch of the royal narrative. Even though no public declaration has validated these rumors, the concentrated focus reportedly altered the mood behind closed doors. What was initially categorized as a purely technical assessment of legal frameworks slowly morphed into a far broader, highly emotional debate. As these conversations persisted, palace public relations reportedly became far tighter and more restrictive, with fewer insights shared with the outside world. An increased number of confidential huddles were allegedly convened in a direct bid to block information leaks or public misunderstandings. However, this escalating confidentiality only intensified global curiosity, as seasoned royal watchers began to question what was truly transpiring behind palace walls. Throughout the royal corridors, rumors multiplied rapidly as staff attempted to decode the predicament. Some maintained it was merely a meticulous legal procedure executed with high caution due to its delicate nature. Others, conversely, sensed it held a deeper significance, pointing to underlying disputes regarding authority, heritage, and how the crown might be reconfigured in the decades ahead. As time progressed, the assessment began to feel less like a straightforward monetary or legal exercise and more like a silent tug-of-war over public image and narrative control. It ceased to be merely about paperwork or trust layouts. Instead, it became deeply intertwined with how different branches of the royal family are perceived by the public and who is recognized as anchoring the most pivotal legacy. This transition has
Andrew
rendered the
Parker Bowles
scenario
might have
far
moved
more
on
volatile
after
than
his
anyone
marriage to Queen
anticipated,
Camilla, but is he
particularly
still
since
cozying
public
up with the
fascination
royal
with
family?
Princess Diana's footprint
Andrew Parker
remains
Bowles has been
incredibly
connected
robust.
with the royal family since
Even
childhood.
the most minor
His father,
developments
Derek
now
Parker
trigger
Bowles,
global
was
arguments,
friends with the Queen
with
Mother.
analysts
For
tracking
years,
every clue
the
and
world
attempting
believed
to
they knew
extract profound
exactly
meanings
why
from
Andrew
actions
Parker
linked to
Bowles
her
and
permanent
Camilla
footprint.
divorced in 1995.
In the end,
The narrative
what kicked
seemed
off as a
simple:
standard
a
administrative
wife
audit
torn between
reportedly
duty
mutated
and
into
desire,
something immensely more
ultimately
intricate, a
choosing her
scenario
first
molded
love,
by authority,
Prince
imagery,
Charles.
and unresolved
Andrew was
debates
painted
regarding who
as the
truly
victim
embodies
of an
the future
impossible
trajectory of
love
the crown.
triangle,
This audit
gracefully
of
stepping
Diana's trust
aside as his
intensified
wife
friction
returned to her
within the
royal
sovereign
destiny.
framework.
But that version
But
of
what could
events
this
has just been
assessment,
shattered.
frequently
In
tied
a
to
stunning
Prince
private
William,
interview
ultimately
that
trigger?
recently surfaced,
Could it compel
Andrew
the
Parker Bowles
institution
has
to center
finally
even more of
broken
its
his
focus on him and
decades-long
his immediate
silence.
line?
His words are
Now,
direct
let us
and
examine how
devastating.
Princess Diana's
People
permanent
assume I
legacy
left
quietly
because of
redefines
Charles.
the emotional
The
future
reality
of the crown
is I
far
could have
beyond wealth and
accepted
documents.
Charles. What I couldn't
At its
accept was
absolute
what Camilla
core,
had become.
this entire dispute
These
is
aren't
said
the
to
words of a
transcend the
bitter
topic of wealth
ex-husband
entirely.
seeking revenge. This is a
According to
man
palace insiders and veteran commentators on
who has
royal
carried the
affairs,
truth
the
for
genuine
30
core
years.
issue is far more
Watching
profound and
history paint
psychological.
an incomplete picture
It revolves
of his
around
marriage's
heritage,
collapse.
allegiance, remembrance, and the fundamental question
golden
of how the
beginning.
crown
To
perceives its own
understand the
evolution within a
magnitude
modernizing world.
of this
Instead of
revelation,
centering solely
we need
on
to go
fiscal
back to
statistics,
where it all
the
began.
trust has
In the late
transformed into an emblem within a
1960s,
much grander
Andrew
dialogue.
Parker Bowles and Camilla
It has
Shand
reportedly forced the sovereign
were the
apparatus to
epitome
confront a
of
challenging
British
and awkward
aristocratic
reality that
perfection.
public fascination and psychological attachment are
He was
increasingly
everything
centering
society
on Prince
expected.
William and his offspring.
Handsome,
To
well-connected,
numerous
and a
analysts,
rising
this
military
transition is
star.
by no means
She was
unexpected.
brilliant,
Rather, it is
charming,
a trend that has
and
been
known for her
intensifying
wit
over
and
time as the
refreshing
younger
disregard
generation
for
step
stuffy
into far more
protocol.
prominent
Their
positions
courtship
within
played
the royal
out
family.
like a fairy tale
The
across
dialogue
the social
itself
pages.
has assumed a life
Polo
of its own,
matches,
traveling far
hunting
beyond
parties,
technical
elegant
paperwork and
dinners.
embedding
They
itself
seemed
deeply within
destined
public
for
perception,
happiness.
where
But
symbolism
beneath the
frequently
polished
commands
surface,
as much power as
cracks were
reality.
already forming.
Within
Andrew's
this
reputation
arena,
for
Princess
wandering
Diana's
was
name
well
continues
established,
to wield an
while Camilla
extraordinary
harbored a
level of
secret
authority.
that would ultimately destroy
Many
their
royal
future
watchers
together.
maintain that this
What
current
most people didn't
situation mirrors
realize
a
was
larger
that
truth
Camilla
about how
had
the crown
never
is
truly let
evaluated
go
in
of Prince
contemporary
Charles.
times.
Their passionate
It is
affair
no
in
longer
the early
strictly about ancient
1970s
traditions
may
or
have
official
ended when
obligations.
Charles was
It is
sent
equally
overseas,
about emotional bonds,
but the
public
emotional
confidence,
connection
and the
remained
intimate narratives
unbroken.
that dictate how
When
society
Camilla
views
married
the royal
Andrew,
household.
it wasn't just a union
In
of
that
two
regard,
people.
Diana's
It was a
heritage still
triangle from the
performs a
very
monumental
beginning.
role in
Life
guiding
and shadow.
public stance and dialogue,
Andrew reveals
even
that the
decades
signs
after
were
her
there
passing.
from their earliest days.
Certain
as
insiders
husband
hint
and
that
wife.
this sudden focus on the
Secret
estate has
letters
served as a
locked
blunt
away,
reminder to the
hush
royal
phone
staff of just how
conversations
deeply
behind
the
closed
populace
doors,
remains attached to
invitations
Diana's
to
memory.
royal residences that
That
seemed meant
bond, they
specifically
argue,
for
naturally
her.
flows down
Yet
to
they
her
built
sons
what
and now
appeared
to
to
her
be a
grandchildren,
successful
who are
life
widely
together,
perceived as the
raising
breathing
two
continuation
children
of her
and
personal
maintaining
journey.
their place in society.
Regardless
But
of
something
whether the
fundamental
precise
was
claims
missing.
regarding the
Andrew
estate are
describes
entirely
a
valid, the
persistent wall
macro-level
between
impact
them,
is
an
undeniable.
emotional distance
The
he could never
conversation has
bridge
cast a giant
despite his
spotlight on
best
how thoroughly
efforts.
Diana's footprint
Their marriage
remains woven
became
into the
more
very
performance
DNA of
than
the House of
partnership,
Windsor.
sustained by
It
duty,
is not merely a
tradition,
chapter of historical
and the
archive,
expectations
but an
of their
active
social
force that
circle.
continues to
As
mold
Charles
current
and Diana's
perceptions and
marriage
future
began to
cultural
unravel
expectations.
publicly, Camilla's
In countless
relationship
ways,
with the
the
future
controversy has
king
shifted away from
intensified.
legal
But
frameworks
according
and
to
moved toward
Andrew,
pure symbolism.
this marked the beginning of a
It mirrors
transformation that went
fundamental
far
questions about who
beyond
truly bears
simple
the
romantic
psychological weight of
rekindling.
the crown and
The
how that
calculated
gravity is
transformation.
transmitted from one
This is where
generation to the
Andrew's
subsequent
account
one.
takes a chilling turn.
Ultimately,
He
what
describes
this
watching his
predicament
wife
unmasks is
evolve
a
from
basic
someone
yet
who once
monumental
laughed
truth.
at royal
Princess
protocol
Diana's
into a
shadow has never
strategic
truly
player in the
vanished
game
from
of
the royal
power.
narrative.
Gone was the carefree
Instead,
woman
it
who had
continues to
charmed
echo
him
loudly
with her
through the public
authenticity.
imagination,
In her
steering
place
how society
emerged
interprets the
someone
crown's past,
calculating,
its present state,
ambitious,
and potentially even its
increasingly
future
focused
direction in
on
the decades
positioning
yet to
herself
unfold.
for a future beside
So,
the throne.
what is your take
Camilla
on Diana's
began
trust fund
cultivating
arrangement?
relationships with
Could this
influential
potentially
figures,
lock in Prince
former
William's
press
authority
secretaries,
within the crown
political
for good?
allies, anyone who
We
could
are
help
eager to
secure
read your
her eventual
perspectives
place
in the
in the
comments
royal
section below.
hierarchy. Andrew
Do not not forget to
folders
drop
of
a like and
newspaper
subscribe
clippings
to our
and
channel.
strategic notes. Evidence of careful planning that extended far beyond matters of the heart. The woman who had once mocked the very world she was now determined to join had become its most dedicated student. Every social event, every public appearance, was now calculated for maximum strategic advantage. The breaking point. While the world focused on the explosive revelation of the intimate phone conversations between Charles and Camilla, Andrew was dealing with a more personal devastation. The public humiliation was nothing compared to what he was experiencing at home, the complete erasure of his significance in his wife's life. But the final blow came not from Charles, but from Camilla herself. During a heated argument following one of her visits to Charles, she delivered words that would end their marriage forever. "Andrew, this marriage was always temporary. You were the bridge, not the destination." The brutal honesty of that moment stripped away any remaining illusions. Andrew realized he had never truly been her partner, merely a placeholder while she positioned herself for something greater. The betrayal wasn't just romantic, it was existential. Their entire shared life, their children, their home, all of it had been reduced to stepping stones on her path to power. The dignified exit. Rather than fight back publicly or seek revenge through the media, Andrew chose a different path. He quietly withdrew, both emotionally and physically, before finally initiating divorce proceedings. The palace, eager to avoid scandal, encouraged discretion. There would be no public battles, no explosive interviews, just a quiet end to a marriage that had been hollow for years. When their divorce was finalized in January 1995, it barely registered in the public consciousness. Andrew had successfully disappeared from the royal narrative as seamlessly as he had once entered it. But this silence came at a cost. His truth remained untold while history wrote its own version of events. Rebuilding and reflection. Andrew's life, after Camilla, tells a different story entirely. He remarried quietly, focusing on his military career, his children, and finding genuine happiness away from the royal spotlight. Friends describe a man who rediscovered himself after years of living in someone else's shadow. He watched from a distance as Camilla transformed from royal mistress to wife to queen consort, barely recognizing the woman he had once loved. The person who now stood on palace balconies seemed a stranger, polished, regal, but somehow less authentic than the woman he had married decades earlier. The deeper truth. Andrew's revelation forces us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about one of the most famous love triangles in modern history. This wasn't simply a story of a woman choosing between two men. It was the calculated pursuit of power, with personal relationships serving as stepping stones to greater ambition. The tragedy isn't just Andrew's. It's also what Camilla lost along the way. In her pursuit of the crown, she sacrificed not just her marriage, but perhaps parts of herself that could never be recovered. The earthy, genuine woman Andrew fell in love with was gradually replaced by someone else entirely. A lasting legacy. After 30 years of silence, Andrew Parker Bowles has given us a gift, the truth. His story reminds us that behind every royal headline lies a human cost, and that the pursuit of power often comes at the expense of authenticity and genuine connection. For Charles and Camilla, now settled into their roles as king and queen consort, these revelations serve as a sobering reminder of the price paid for their happiness. For future generations of royals, it's a cautionary tale about the dangers of allowing ambition to override humanity. Andrew Parker Bowles never sought the spotlight, never demanded attention or sympathy. But in finally sharing his truth, he has rewritten our understanding of one of the most significant royal stories of our time. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply tell the truth, even if it takes 30 years to find the courage. What do you think about Andrew's revelations? Have they changed your perspective on this royal love story? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Royal Folder for more untold stories from behind the palace walls. Until next time, keep uncovering the truth.